Peace and blessings, family. Welcome to the Rose Garden Vibes. I am really excited to be back here with you all. It has been a while since I have made a video, and we are back with yet another wonderful vibe session. Today we're going to be talking about what is meditation. I recently did a video about a month or two back where I talked about yoga and the benefits of yoga and what yoga is. And I thought it would only be fair if I took some time to break down meditation as well, considering that meditation is a very intricate part of yoga when we talk about the cultural, traditional, and historical factors. And not for nothing, typically when we talk about yoga, it is meditation and movement. And so why not take this time to break down exactly what meditation is, especially considering that there's this misconception about it being demonic and not being helpful, it being only for a specific race, culture, or religion. And I want to just take some time to debunk some of those myths. Because meditation is a very big part of my life. It is a very big part of what I do, what I offer, both as a mental health therapist as well as a life coach and Reiki master. So grab a pen and paper if you want to take notes. If not, let's get a little comfortable. This won't take too long, but let's dive in.
And as you do so, tap back in with an intention.
Through the right, resting your left ear and left shoulder on the mat. Welcome back, everyone. Let's dive in. Now, I think it's only fair that we start off with the history of meditation. Not to consider myself a history buff or anything. However, I think when we talk about practices, it is important to talk about the historical context, at least a little bit, okay? Now, diving into history, it is said that meditation can be traced back to about 1500 BCE, and it is textually written in the Hindu Vedas. And so technically meditation was first documented in 1500 BCE in the Hindu Vedas. However, it is also alleged and can be assumed, honestly, that it's much older than that. Some have said that it can be traced to about 300 BCE. However, many claim to say they really don't know. Now, what I like to consider personally is that the first images of meditation can be traced back to Kemet. When you look at the hieroglyphics, there are many images of people doing what we now consider yoga as well as meditation. Because of the images, we see people sitting in lotus, which is deemed the stereotypical position that people sit in when they engage in meditation. There's other poses like plow pose that we do in yoga as well. And so one can also allege that meditation can be traced back to the ancient kingdom of Kemet, and many people have shown in their research and excavation that Kemet did span to what we now consider as present day India. Please don't take my word for it. There is much research out there to show this, and I like to lean into it's all alleged. However, research and history typically does not lie. It's just the more you dig, the more you find, okay? So when we talk about meditation and as it relates to the Hindu Vedas, meditation is coined as embracing a calm state and letting go of objects or objectives. All right. Now, in the Hindu Vedas, again, like I said, that is the earliest documentation of meditation. And when you do a deeper dive, meditation is seen in the 8 limbs of yoga. Now, if you go back to my What is Yoga video, I talk about the 8 limbs more in depth as far as what they are, what they mean, and things of that nature. And so in the 8 limbs of yoga, we talk about meditation, and meditation is coined as dhyana. That is after we engage in concentration, the next state or level is meditation. First, concentration, because you want to focus your attention on something, whether it's an object, a word, a mantra, a affirmation, maybe even a specific goal, place, or being. All right, you want to focus your attention on that, and then once your attention is locked in and you're able to concentrate, the next level is meditation, and that is where you let go of the objective, meaning the mantra, affirmation, goal, etc., 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 and you embrace a calm state of being. You let go of all things, and there is no focus. Okay, there is no focus. And I'm emphasizing that because typically when I speak to people and we talk about meditation with my clients, the common theme that I hear is, I can't focus. I just can't focus. My mind is constantly racing. Well, in that moment, you're focusing, you're concentrating on the state of mindlessness. And quite honestly, the mind is going to run. The purpose of meditation is to embrace the calmness, because as we embrace the calmness rather than the stillness, that is when we can truly let go. Stillness comes gradually. We have to embrace the present moment as it is, whether we're focusing on the object or not. Now, I want to say that the purpose of leaning into concentration first is because as your mind chronically goes, you're able to focus your awareness back on the thing that you originally want to focus on. Again, whether it's a flame, an object, a mantra, etc., etc. And once you lock in on that, you have in that moment trained your mind to let go of the outside noise. And naturally, calmness will come in. However, it's being mindful that we aren't hyperfixated on the stillness. We aren't hyperfixated on the mindlessness. We are in the moment, ever present, and letting go. Now, it is safe to say that meditation is not only mentioned in the Hindu Vedas. Meditation is mentioned in the Torah. Meditation is also mentioned in the Bible. Numerous times, might I add. You see the word meditation and the act of meditating come up in Psalms 1. Also in Psalms 119. You even see it come up in the very first book in Genesis 24, verse 63. And it comes up many more times after that. When we look at meditation from a biblical lens, you typically see it when the Bible verse says to focus your mind and heart. Now, it also quite literally says to meditate on the word. Actually, let's read some of the Bible verses right now. Give me one moment. Genesis 24, verse 63. It says, Isaac then went out to meditate in the field in the evening, and he lifted his eyes and saw camels coming. That is one instant where the Bible mentions meditation. And Isaac lifted his eyes. Now, one can assume that maybe his head was down and he was looking down at the ground, or one can lean into the idea that typically when we meditate, our eyes are genuinely closed. And so maybe, quite maybe, when Isaac opened his eyes, he saw camels coming towards him. The other one is Psalms 1. And this would be verse 2. But his will is in the law of the Lord, and his law he meditates day and night. So those are two verses, and there are many, many more where you can find that meditation is mentioned. Typically, when we hear meditation or read meditation in the Bible, it is us focusing our mind and our thoughts and our heart and our intentions on the Word of God, on the laws of God, things of that nature. And also, typically, oftentimes when we see people meditating in the Bible, they gain these big revelations, they get a message, things of that nature. Now, even if these aren't things that entice you when it comes to where meditation is mentioned and why it's mentioned and things of that nature, maybe we lean into the benefits of meditation and honestly the purpose of meditation. Now, from a therapeutic standpoint, when I talk to clients about meditation, it's typically regarding ways to reach what we consider in DBT wise mind. Wise mind is typically the space where one can hold up reason as well as emotions and make the most effective choice to be able to regulate their emotions and help not make things worse. Well, how can this happen? And this is typically what people ask me, because oftentimes we downplay the benefits of meditation because, one, it's not something that we hear and learn and talk about on a daily basis. But also, again, meditation is typically demonized. And it's demonized because it's something that is foreign to, one, my community and many people that maybe have never heard it and so have never considered doing research. And again, when something is foreign, we typically stray away from it because it sounds scary, right? And we don't know the outcomes of it. So from a therapeutic and scientific standpoint, when we talk about meditation, meditation has been proven to reduce anxiety. Meditation has been proven to be a great way to learn how to manage stress. And these two things happen when we talk about the reduction of anxiety and the increase of being able to manage stressful events and situation. It is because meditation does help create new neural pathways in the brain. Well, Nikki, what does that mean? When you create new neural pathways in the brain, that means that you are creating new ways of thinking. You are creating new ways of reacting. You are quite literally learning new ways to navigate and maneuver through life behaviorally. Another thing that happens when we meditate is we increase the brain's level of neuroplasticity. So when we talk about neuroplasticity, it is the brain's ability to heal itself. And so when we experience traumatic events, maybe mentally, physically, or emotionally, meditating helps us to increase the function of the neuroplasticity of our brain. The brain is a ever learning, ever healing agent of the body. And when we are able to increase both of these things within the brain, that quite literally improves our health. Mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally. How so? Because the body and the brain communicate all day, every day. The body and the brain are sending and receiving information and signals from each other each and every day. And so as we increase our practice of meditating, we are healing not only the brain, but we're also healing the body as well. And the impacts that this has on the body is that, one, is that it decreases hypertension. Hypertension is a scientific word for high blood pressure. How so? Because typically hypertension is created by high levels of stress. And so in that, we are reducing the impact of heart attacks. We are reducing stress and anxiety. Again, we are improving our overall mental, physical, and emotional health. Another thing that meditation does is increases the blood flow to the brain. And when we increase the blood flow to the brain, that increases the blood flow throughout the entire body. And these are things that has been shown through research. This is not from me just saying these things. It is not just from my studies in therapy and psychology and things of this nature. These are things that have been actively researched. One research shown was they hooked up a machine, and it's a machine designed to be able to highlight the functioning of the brain. I don't know if it was a neuropsych eval, but it was a brain scan, and they were researching a brain that engages in acts of meditation compared to a brain that does not meditate. So these are two different people that was hooked up to this machine for research purposes, and it showed that there are certain areas of the brain that is used when you meditate compared to somebody that does not meditate. And so you're actively working and engaging different parts of your brain that is typically not used on a day-to-day basis. And so that alone says that if we do this practice on more of a daily basis, or at least more consistently, that improves our decision making. One, because the frontal lobe is more activated when we are meditating. That's one part of the brain that is completely locked in and ready to go when we are meditating. And the frontal lobe impacts our decision making, how we reason. These are two very important things to continue to strengthen and exercise, especially because the frontal lobe is not fully developed until you're around 30 years old. So that in and of itself helps us to really engage that muscle and improve our quality of life overall. Other things to consider when we are talking about meditation is that this helps us to slow down. Many of us are chronically on go, and we are never truly able to relax, which makes sense because there's always something that needs to get done. However, if we practice more moments and times of sitting in stillness, being able to just slow down and focus on our breathing and just allow ourselves to be. It has also been shown from me working with clients and in research that this does increase our awareness. Not just our external awareness, which is very important, but it also helps us to key into our internal awareness and what's happening in our body, how certain things make us feel emotionally, maybe even thought-wise. And these are things that's very important when we talk about setting boundaries, when we talk about making decisions, when we talk about our health. Another thing that meditation does help with is also improving sleep, which makes sense because typically one thing that does get in the way of us getting quality rest is stress and anxiety. And so if we're able to improve our sleep, that means that we don't wake up vulnerable every single day, pretty much waking up on edge and going out into a world already on edge because there's already pre-existing anxiety running through our body. Another thing to consider is that this does bring our body back to a sense of homeostasis, which is balance, which again taps into us again creating new neural pathways in the brain, improving the brain's neuroplasticity, reducing hypertension in the body. Quite honestly, meditating helps bring our bodies back to a state of calmness. And this isn't a forever thing. However, when we practice meditation, we are able to come back to a baseline and completely regulate ourselves. And that is really important because when we're making decisions from a dysregulated state, well, we may make things worse and not even know it. Maybe we're unsure about our decision making. Maybe again there's this chronic sense of dysregulation and we don't really know where it's coming from. However, if we practice meditation, we are able to identify where these things may be coming from and then be able to make more effective decisions on how to problem solve or maybe let things go. Meditation is not something that is strictly for one religion, for one people, for one thing. Meditation doesn't even have to be about spirituality. This is a practice that improves our overall quality of life, mental health and emotional health and physical health. Again, when we engage in practices that help us to strengthen the mind, there's this 360 effect that happens to where the brain and the body are more connected. We are more present in our bodies, and who doesn't want that? On a genuine level, who does not want that? Now, I want to say that the reason that I brought up the history and the biblical sense of meditation is because you always hear that meditation is not for us. We typically hear in some way, shape, or form that we should steer away from us because those people that practice that, you're welcoming in all of these spirits. And that is not true. That is a myth, because meditation is not purely spiritual. If we use it for that, that's absolutely wonderful. And I will be going into how meditation and spirituality are connected in another video. However, that is not the only reason why one should at least try meditation. You genuinely do unlock a different state of calmness. You genuinely do unlock a different type of clarity. You do unlock a different type of confidence because you are completely tapped into your body. The only spirit, if you will, that you're inviting in is yours. Because whoever or whatever you pray to, that's typically going to be your focus anyway when you're meditating. When I meditate, I set the intention that I'm wanting to hear from the Most High. I set the intention that I want to be in a state of genuine calmness. And whatever else that I want to cue into on that day. And I meditate on that and I focus on that, and then naturally going back to the beginning, right? I allow my body to naturally drift into a state of calmness. And when I do find myself drifting, maybe I come back to that if I want to, or I allow myself to just go. Because what you're keying into is not holding on to those thoughts. You're practicing in that moment the art of letting go, because the mind is going to do its thing. We come back to breath. We come back to our bodies. We come back to the present moment. And the more you practice that, the more, I don't want to say the better you get, because there is no right or wrong way to meditate. However, the more at peace you become with the practice, because you get used to the ebb and flow of what it is to meditate. I want to pause it there. I hope this made sense. I hope this video speaks to somebody, and I hope this video does bring on a new sense of what meditation is, and maybe we become more comfortable meditating. Peace and blessings, everyone. If you want to hear more about this, definitely let me know in the comments. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And meditation and spirituality will be only on my Patreon. I will put the link in the description below, and be sure to put an update on my profile here on YouTube to where you can have an easy way to access it. Peace and blessings, everyone.